In order to understand the concept of Kendall's tower test, which is used to test the independence or the association between the xi and yi measurements, students, I have already explained that how to implement the Kendall's tower test for a real life situation. So I would sharing with you another example where you would observe that how to apply the Kendall's tower test to observe the association between the two type of measurements, xi and yi. The problem that we need to consider, that was a research being carried out by Crevens and Woodruff in 1973. They have conducted this study to design and test a methodology for analytically determining the standards of sales performance. They reported the data on benchmark achievement, as you can observe, and the management rating for 25 sales territories. You are required to test whether there is a sufficient evidence to conclude that the benchmark achievement and management ratings are directly related. That means we are talking about an alternative hypothesis which is of type 1-tailed. Now this is data that is being shown to you, students. So here, as there were 25 total territories for which the data was being observed, I have named that data as being X and Y, and as you can see that the data is being shown till 25. So what we need to do is, again, we would have to follow the same procedure, that the Y values are to be taken according to the X arranged value. So the minimum value we have had under X is 1, then 2, then 3, and so on. Now if we just locate 1 under X, it is appearing for territory 5. So we would be picking up this complete pair under our rankings. So students, this is 1, 1. Similarly, the next pair we have had, because the next X value greater than 1 is 2. So 2 is appearing for the first territory, and the Y value against that is 4. So we would be taking complete pair. So this pair is being shown here, and so on. We would be taking the other pairs, and we have well arranged them. And the last pair you have had, it is 25, 24 under the rankings that was appearing against territory number 8. Once we are done with ranking of YIs with respect to the arranged XIs, the next two columns we need to calculate is the Y pairs in natural order and the Y pairs in reverse natural order. Now students, again we would have to follow the same procedure. अगर आप इस वैल्यू को देखें, first one under Y is 1. Now you need to calculate that how many values are greater than this value. So as you can observe that we have 25 observations in total. So 24 observations are greater than that, because this is the smallest value under Y we have had. So we have type 24 under the pairs in natural order. The next value, if you would have to observe that Y value is 4. अब इसमें देखिए आपको नोट डाउन करना है from the entire column of YI pairs कि कौन सी values ऐसी हैं below this 4 value which are greater than that 4. For example, this value is greater than 4, 1. This is not greater than 4, so we won't be considering this value. So this one is greater than 4. This one is greater than 4, greater than 4, greater than 4. This is again not greater than 4, it is rather less. Greater than 4, greater than 4. This one is greater, this one is greater. And if we just move on, this one, this one, this one, 7, 19, 10, 18, 14, 25, then next one is 17, 23, and finally 24. These all values are greater than 4. So we just count, if we just have counts on them, there will be 21 in total. उसके बाद अगर आप 11 को देखिए, 3 is not greater than 11, 5 is not greater than 11, 22 yes, 22 yes, 8 is greater than 11, not greater than 11, so it is rather less than 11, then 2 is not greater than 11, 21 yes, 10 is not 12 yes, 13 yes, and so on. 15 yes, 9 no, 6 no, 7 no, and so on. If we just have counts on them, there will be 14 in total. And if we just move on to the 23 value, for instance, which is the second last observation of why we have had, तो इससे E की value बड़ी आपको नजर आ रही है. Below that 23, it is 24. So we write down 1 against the pairs in natural order. If you just observe 24 students, 24 से आगे कोई value आपको नजर नहीं आ रही, तो you will be marking 0. If we just move on to the Y pairs in reverse natural order, यहाँ पे आपको students देखना है कि कितनी values हैं जो इससे below हैं. तो 1, as you know, it is the smallest value we have had under Y. कोई भी value Y pairs is not lesser than that value, so we have just typed 0 against that. अगर आप 4 को देखिए तो 4 से below यानी इससे जो नीचे values appear हो रहे हैं उसमें कितनी values हैं जो 4 से below हैं. One is 3 and the other one is 2. So there are 2 values which are lesser than 4, and so on. You would be completing this column, summing over pairs in natural order. You get P as 218, which are the sum of concordance pairs, and then summing over the next column of reverse natural order, you have Q as 82, which is the sum of discordant pairs. Whereas under step 1, you need to define the pair of hypotheses. So under H1, we have taken that benchmark achievement and the management ranking are directly related. That means we are talking about a one-tailed test, level of significance 0.01, test statistic T hat is S over N into N minus 1 by 2, whereas S is the difference between the P and the Q. So P is 218, whereas Q was 82 that we have just calculated. So the difference is 136. Plugging this value into this formula, we have got T hat as 0.45. Now we need to compare this value with the tabulated value of Kendall's rank correlation coefficient, Tava hat. So students, I have shared the table of Kendall's rank correlation coefficient before you. So under alpha 0.01 and for n equal to 25, the value which you are going to observe is 0.333. So you need to reject H naught when Tava hat is greater than Tava star, because we were interested in calculating the direct relationship between the two variables. So Tava hat is greater than 0.333. As you can observe that the calculated value comes out to be 0.45, which is much more greater than 0.333, which is our tabulated value. So that means this calculated value, it very much falls in the rejection region. So we can conclude that benchmark achievement and management rankings are directly related by rejecting the null hypothesis, because we have sufficient evidence in order to reject hypothesis against our alternative hypothesis.